And let's just, let me get another piece of wood. Okay, so let's put this into practice. I'm going to go ahead, because I have a 2x12, is I'm going to use a bigger square. This is how I would cut a rafter, is I would put the pivot point on the end, and let's just say that it's a, let's say it's a 10-12, okay? So I want to mark this 10. That needs to be on the top along with the pivot point. Hold that down, and I'm going to go ahead and just extend the line. I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Hey, look, that was a beautiful cut. Beautiful cut. Okay, so let's just say it's a 1 foot long rafter. I know, or let's say 16. We'll go hyperbolic here. Same thing, I'm going to put the pivot point on my mark, rotate until the 10 is there, and I'm going to mark. Now let's just say, for example, that the wall I'm landing on is a 2x4 wall. Then that means I need to have a level cut. This is plumb. Then I need a level cut at 3.5 inches. What I can do is I can just see if I pivot, is I'm just going to line up. This is one thing I really like about the Martinez. I can line up the 3.5 with these ticks. And now I just mark. So there's my 3.5. Okay, so that's easy to do a level cut without any kind of angle, is I'm just going to go 90 degrees off of my plumb cut. Now, since I don't have, with the Swanson, I can do the same thing, is I'm holding it tight until I get the 3.5, but I don't have any other lines to mark through. But here's the way you do that. See these lines? If I line up this, and then the 45 with the bottom, so I'm lining up that line and this line, and then the 45, that also gives me the 3.5. Now here's another thing I can do. Let's say it was a 2x6 wall. I can go here and I have 5.5 and I have this slot. So I'm going to go ahead and slide it down until on this slot and the 5.5 I'm aligned, and I mark it. Isn't that nice? Now I have a 5.5 inch level cut. But here's one other thing that I'd like to show you. In fact, let me just cut this. This is why I like a loose base plate. Now I can just plunge straight down. Okay. So here's how the rafter would sit. See that? 3.5 inch level cut. I have a plumb cut. So my rafter length is from here to here. And then I have a perfect 3.5. Now let me show you one other way to mark a level cut. Let me ditch this guy. Here's a nice one. Okay, I want that angle, right? Here's how you can do it. Remember we cut this at a 10-12? So if I do this and I mark, I need this line because I need to line up the pivot. If I mark the 10 and now I pivot, I can mark this. Remember earlier we showed that we were rotating. Remember when we showed this guy? I got too many squares in my pocket. Remember earlier we showed this, that if I mark a 7-12 and I return back, that actually gives me the complementary angle? That's all we're basically doing in reverse. So let's do that with a 7-12. Okay, so let's just to build, remember earlier is I marked 90 degrees. I want a 7-12 roof, so I put the 7 there, I put this, and I go back, and there's the degrees, a little under 60. I can do basically the same thing to mark a seat cut. If I start here, And first I mark the 7. I want to try to get that a little accurate, or a little more accurate. Now I'm going to rotate to this guy, and that is my seat cut. See that? But I didn't have to mark. So, boy, I really feel like I could do this better. I want to do a 10-12. Okay, so as we showed, that's my level cut and this is my plumb cut. But let's say I need to mark out a board. Maybe it's a piece of trim that comes down, it's barge board, or it's a California jack, in which case I need a plumb cut at the ridge and a level cut at the valley. How do I mark out the angle if I only want to use a speed square? So let's say that's all 10-12. Remember earlier I showed you that if you scribe, that to mark the plumb cut, we rotate until we're the 10. And when we return back to our starting, we get the complementary angle. So in round numbers, it's 40 and 50. So you could just go like this and mark 50 degrees for a seat cut. That works, especially if you've already done the math. However, what if you don't want to do math? We start square, and this time, let's mark the 40. And now we're going to rotate up. It's the same as we did before, but really in reverse. Before, remember, we rotated until we found the 10-12, but we want, and that's for a plumb cut, but we want a seat cut. So instead of rotating up to the 10, first we mark the 40, or the 10-12, and then we rotate and mark right through that, and there's our 50, right? Okay. So that's just an intro to the speed square. Scribe notches. Now there's a feature of these squares that's very helpful. We know we can mark 45 degrees with these, but when we have 45-degree walls, we actually need half of the 45 because we're going to miter them together. That's this 22.5. So if I line this up with the edge, that gives me 20, 21, 22.5. Right in between. That's if I use that edge. The Martinez takes it and goes just a little bit further, is I can use this longer line and I line it up to the edge. Kind of hard to see in the shadow from the sun. 20, 21, 22.5. Okay, so I'm just going to show you what that looks like. Let me just take this. So if I have a 45-degree wall, smooth move, dude. Oh. If I have a 45-degree wall, this is the edge of my plate, and let's say the wall goes this way, 45. So I need two plates that meet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my square back here. I'm going to line up this edge. That's 22.5. I'm going to mark this. Let me just show you how this works. Here, I'm going to... I don't want to bend over. Okay? So when I put those together, here's my 45. Come on. Let me try not to look like a moron. This angle now is, well, it's 135 degrees, but it makes my 45. Okay, so there was my 45 line. Ow. Give myself a splinter. When I line those up, there it is. So now my walls, they go 45 degrees. It's technically 135, it's 45 plus 90, but when it comes to using our square, there it is, right? 22.5. Okay, good enough. We got it. So one final word that I would just like to mention. The titanium square is not a requirement to do quality work. It is a work of art. It is beautiful. I love the design. There's a lot of advantages to it. If somebody stole this right now, I would get online and buy myself another one. But I had already spent 25 years using a square that was just fine. This, what is it they say on Parks and Rec? This is a treat yourself.
Treat yourself 2011.
I'm treating myself to this square. Don't feel like you have to run out and buy it. It's not going to make you a better framer. I really like this square. This square will do everything you need it to do, and it will help you to do quality work. It's fast, it's durable, and you know what else? It's cheap. It's cheap. Take the time to learn how to use a square before you go spend the money on an expensive square. Okay, so there's an intro. If there's something else, like there's something that you know how to do with a square, hey, please put it in the description or put it in the caption. This thing left a long time ago. Put it in the comments below. Anyway, thank you guys for watching.